fable. It's a modern fable, but played completely realistically.
Dr. Graham?
Writer-director Phil Alden Robinson brings to the screen a story for our times, a story about renewed hope and second chances for dreams to come true. With Kevin Costner, James Earl Jones, Burt Lancaster, Amy Madigan, Ray Liotta, and Tim Busfield in Universal Studios' new film, Field of Dreams.
If you build it, he will come.
Everybody who worked on this film came on as if a voice had told them, do this one, make this picture.
Kevin Costner steps into a realm of imagination as 1960s idealist Ray Kinsella, a man who leads an uneventful life until he hears the voice.
If you build it, he will come.
If you build what, who will come?
He didn't say.
I hate it when that happens.
And the voice is so strong that he has to follow. He hasn't invented the visions, and he hasn't invented the voice.
Amy Madigan is Ray's wife, Annie. She's only slightly skeptical.
Hey! What if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Together, they're a team of true believers.
If you really feel you should do this, then you should do it.
So it is really kind of an act of faith and a leap of faith for Annie and Ray to say, okay, we are going to do this, and they together as a unit to believe in this magic that happens. And they do, and it does happen to them. Ta-da!
With unyielding faith, Ray Kinsella follows the voice of hope, and Chicago Black Sox star Shoeless Joe Jackson returns from the troubled past to relive his dream. He's played by Ray Liotta.
I come back at 33 years old, and so there's an insight, too, that you get from being dead and coming back and thinking for your life a while up there.
Shoeless Joe symbolizes for a lot of people the dream deferred. Helping Shoeless Joe achieve his dream is how Kevin's character starts on the road to realizing his dream.
If we handle it correctly, then we'll have made a very tender movie in very tainted times.
On the way to realizing his dreams, Ray Kinsella encounters James Earl Jones as embittered author Terrence Mann.
I was hoping I wasn't going to have to do it this way.
What the hell is that?
It's a gun. What do you think it is?
It's your finger.
He's the former voice of the 1960s who turned against his dreams a long time ago.
You're a pacifist!
What really has happened to Ray Kinsella is tantamount to a flying saucer landed in his backyard. And my character doesn't know that yet, but he knows something funny is going on.
I was hoping I could just convince you to come with me.
Why?
Something will happen there. I don't know what, but we'll find out when it does.
What happens to Burt Lancaster as Doc Moonlight Graham, a man who came close to but could never touch his dream.
And is there enough magic out there in the moonlight to make this dream come true?
What would you say if I said yes?
I think I'd actually believe you. He was a real character. His great ambition in life was to be a ball player. He never realized it. Kevin Costner says, it was a tragedy that a man like you was so close to it, and you didn't reach out and take it. And the doc says, son, if I'd only gotten to be a doctor for 5 minutes, now that would have been a tragedy.
Guarding the home front, Amy Madigan quiets a crowd that wants to censor the dreams of others.
At least he is not a book burner, you Nazi cow. Fine!
Annie!
Who's for the Bill of Rights? Who thinks freedom is a pretty darn good thing?
I don't know, I think that kind of says a lot about her. It's like the mouse that roared. Don't push her too far, because she actually will stand up and open her big mouth and tell you what she thinks, which is kind of like me, actually.
At the same time, she struggles with her doubting brother Mark, played by 30-something's Tim Busfield, who can't buy into the dream.
Annie, you got no choice in the matter.
I think that Mark also represents not just being a bad guy, but what anybody in the real world would see. He's the only outsider. And in his mind, they flipped out. Ray, it's time to put away your little fantasies and come down to earth.
It's not a fantasy, Mark. They're real.
Who is real?
You risk everything in your home life to do it, and what happens is your dream comes true, can come true, and ultimately you're rewarded beyond your most wildest dreams.
For all the film's characters, the moment of truth and of second chances comes together on the field of dreams.
Unbelievable.
It's more than that. It's perfect.
You think of movies in the past, you think of great scenes, you never forget them, and I think that's what movies are supposed to strive for, things that you'll never forget in your life.
People will come, Ray.
You're broke, Ray. You sell now or you lose everything.
This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Bringing Field of Dreams to the screen took a long-term commitment from Phil Alden Robinson.
Making this movie was throwing caution to the wind. It took me 6 years to get the picture made, during which time pretty much everybody in town said, you cannot make a movie out of this story.
But producer Larry Gordon believed in the story and wanted to make the film.
The screenplay is lovely, and it does have a lot of humor, and it also makes you cry. I mean, but it also has to be made perfectly to work. I mean, it can't. There's no margin for error as there is in an action film. Phil brings to it a focus that makes it a story you must watch.
I want to know what's out there. I want to see it.
But you're not invited.
I would like to believe that dreams can come true. I would like to believe that good can win out over evil, and I'd like to believe that you could reach back into the past and change the bad stuff and make it come out right.
Is there a heaven?
Oh, yeah. It's the place dreams come true.
I think there's a lot of times in your life when you wish a voice would come to you. You wish something would tell you what to do. The voice to become an actor was that clear to me.
If you build it, he will come.
In Universal Studios' Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner enters the world of imagination as spirited idealist Ray Kinsella.
If you build it, he will come.
He's a man who follows the voice of hope over the better understood voices of reason.
If you build what, who will come?
You didn't say.
I hate it when that happens.
I think I know what if you build it, he will come means.
Are you actually thinking of doing this?
No.
But he throws caution to the wind anyway, and following his instincts gives in to the voice.
I have just created something totally illogical.
Here, Chicago Black Sox star Shoeless Joe Jackson comes from decades ago to relive his dream.
You have to buy into it as being real. If we handle it correctly, then we'll have made a very tender movie in very tainted times.
Early on, the reality of Costner's own life was a career in business before he threw caution to the wind and took up acting.
See if you can hit my curve.
Today, he pursues his craft with as much vigor as Ray Kinsella pursues his dreams.
Well, we're dealing with primal forces of nature here, all right? When primal forces of nature tell you to do something, the prudent thing is not to quibble over details.
Yeah, but why do you have to go? Huh? Why can't the voice send somebody else? How about Shirley MacLaine? What, is she too busy?
My job is to just be as seamless as possible and a storyteller. The rap I always get that is that, well, you're natural. That's not true. That's not true. I work at trying to make it seem natural. I work at trying to make it seem like it's the first time it ever came out of my mouth.
For co-star Amy Madigan, Costner's main appeal comes from the truth and honesty he brings to the screen.
He does it in a very, very simple and concrete and straightforward and honest way. There's something about him that people think, I could know this guy, I could probably have a beer with this guy, I could sit down and talk to him.
I think I have to be in movies like this. It's probably our generation's It's a Wonderful Life.
Moonlight Graham.
Award-winning actor James Earl Jones is best known for the powerful, almost mythical quality he brings to his roles. Now he stars opposite Kevin Costner in Universal Studios' Field of Dreams.
We got a learning disability here?
Mr. Mann, if I could just have 1 minute, please.
He's reclusive author Terrence Mann, former voice of the 1960s, whose dreams for that generation have long since faded.
I don't do causes anymore.
This isn't a cause. I don't need money or an endorsement.
You're from the 60s.
Well, yeah, actually.
Ow, hey! Back to the 60s.
Wait a
back.
second.
There's no place for you here in the future. Get back while you still can. This man is, I think, running away from a certain openness that the 60s represented, that being a liberal represented.
With an urgent sense of destiny, Costner's Ray Kinsella tries to kidnap his way into Terrence Mann's life.
I was hoping I wasn't going to have to do it this way.
What the hell is that?
It's a gun. What do you think it is?
It's your finger. And I realized, you're not really a kidnapper, are you? That's not what you do, is it? It gets at my character's funny bone, and he sees what he used to be. So you are kidnapping me?
I was hoping I could just convince you to come with me.
Giving in to what he used to be, Mann heads off with Ray Kinsella to a world of renewed dreams and second chances.
Unbelievable.
It's more than that. It's perfect.
I think there happens a union between essentially Ray's soul and Mann's soul. He's open, he's innocent, he's a pure person. And my character sees that. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
In casting Jones for the role, writer-director Phil Alden Robinson found an actor who could play both strength and whimsy.
He has this wonderful childlike openness to new ways of expressing himself and new ways of seeing things and feeling things, and it's very charming. I think he's an extraordinary talent, just extraordinary.
Do it. Roll, please.
Thanks, Doc.
No, son. Thank you.
Oh, my God. You can't go back. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. I best be getting back home before Alicia gets to thinking of letting go.
And cut. That's a cut. Very nice. Stand by. And action. What do we got there?
She fell.
Oh, my God.
Hot dog stuck in her throat. She'll be all right now. A minute or two, she'll be turning handsprings.
Good, cut. Tim, when Kevin lunges, if she could go, if you could give her help to go more this way.
Right.
Okay, and she should go a little sooner.
Okay, yeah, that was my fault. I realized
And
that.
if you can, I'm not 18. Look,
They do hurt.
That time's like you're don't forget over it.
what happened to her?
Yeah, but I know where I'm going in the movie.
Well,
I'm going
no,
around in the movie.
it's happened too fast. It's too fast to think about. Okay. So it looks best. It looks scarier if you're not looking down.
Nuts. I mean, come on, Annie Ray, look. I mean, you build a baseball field in the middle of nowhere and you sit here and you stare at nothing. You turn your daughter into a damn space kid. Look, I'm trying to help you, dude.
And then I said, it's all right. And then you said, you can't, but you kind of said, but don't you understand? Like, And I said, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So it kind of risen.
Could I try that one time?
Yeah,
Thanks.
sure.
Go right away, please.
She says, oh my God, you can't go back.
That's all right.
I'm sorry, but you can't go back.
It's all right.
Okay. But remember, the first one is you can't go back, can you?
You can't go back, can you?
Okay. So it's like you don't.
Let me come in
know.
cleanly. It's all right. And then I don't care what you do because I'll override you.
Okay.
See?
You're saying it.
I don't want to say it twice, no.
No, you
James
should.
is saying it.
You saying it.
Yeah, right,
Are
I'm
you
not
saying-
saying it.
You're not saying it?
No, I'm not. I'm not. So it's kind of like when I first come in, it's like,
Should we get the car?
the first thing I say is she all right? Oh my gosh, she's not breathing. All right, Mark, all right. And that's what James said, should I get the car? I don't think we should.
Stand by. And action.
Is she all right? Is she breathing? Oh my God, she's not breathing. Mark!
No, it's a 20-minute drive. Annie, wait. Wait. Just wait. He hears it, but he resists it. But things are so clear eventually, and the voice is so strong that he has to follow. He hasn't invented the visions, and he hasn't invented the voice. And the voice has sought him out, and he's a good steward of it. And I want to make movies that you'll just, there's parts of them that you'll just never ever forget. Doesn't mean it'll happen, but that's my hope going in. When you think of movies in the past, you think of great scenes. You never forget them, and I think that's what movies are supposed to strive for. Things that you'll never forget in your life. I realize that my stock is directly tied to writing. That my stock will rise and fall with good writing. The temptation is that suddenly you can just do anything and that people will sit still and watch you for 2 hours. I don't think that. I really don't believe that. Not for a second.
It's fantasy. I mean, magic happens in this movie to a family. But it's magic that's not, it's not all sorts of monsters and ships and special effects. It's more magic if something happened to us right now. How would that look? How would normal people get to experience magic in their lives? I think that's part of why she loves this man. He's not Mr. Three-Piece Suit. And he's not the most astute business mind or maybe the best farmer in the world, but I think that's part of the fun why they get along and like each other.
Kevin is very comedian-like in that he can transform himself to this innocent farm boy who's very vulnerable and very open, you know. And that's what the story is really about, openness, you know. He meets Kevin's character, Ray, and he sees what he used to be. Ray is still open from just being Ray. He's open, you know. He's innocent. He's a pure person, and my character sees that, and he gets very uptight about it.
I guess I symbolize their hopes and their dreams, just like baseball symbolizes my hopes and dreams, and I wanted to come back to play. But it's actually kind of fun making believe, like, oh my gosh, you've been dead for all these years and here you are on a baseball field. You know, seeing and smelling the grass again was kind of neat.
Having the opportunity to see these great heroes again, who've all been dead, is the kind of opportunity that very few people get. It's a realization of a dream come true. Now we have to say, what have we done with our life? What can I look back at with great pride and a sense of well-being and a feeling that I have truly lived? These kind of things are an example of what life is all about.
Mark's job is to sort of represent what all of us would do with anybody, especially family members, who plow up a crop and build a baseball field and sit and eat popcorn and stare at it. And I think that's where he's coming from more than anything. On top of that, he is trying to buy the land. So he is very much a villain. And I think that is what the movie's about in many ways, in that if you feel that passion and that desire to fulfill your dream, don't ignore it. Go after it, do it. Even if people around, like your brother-in-law, saying you're out of your mind, you're going to lose everything, follow up on it, because that's where your heart will find its peace.
One of the things that interests me about the film is that you don't know what it's about or what it is until it's over. And then all the pieces make sense and you say, oh, that's what it is. And in so that respect, it's sort of a mystery. I think that one of the things that we had going for us is that Kevin Costner, in addition to being a wonderful actor, has the rare ability to play somebody who can do unexpected things and not make you think he's crazy. And that's a very hard thing for an actor to do, and he does it effortlessly.
This is one of the reasons that this film is a gamble for all of us, which makes it exciting, is that you can't tell it in 2 sentences. You can't. It's not a little concept and TV guide. You know, one of the things I always use as an example of a movie star, a person who is multifaceted in their career, is by using who could play the Gary Cooper role in High Noon. Who could be that vulnerable and yet stand up to those bad guys? Who could do that? I can't think of many guys but Kevin.
I have just created something totally illogical.
That's what I like about it.
If you build it, he will come. If you build it,
What? Who will come?
You didn't say.
I hate it when that happens.
Me too.
Who's hearing voices?
Ray is. I think I know what "if you build it, he will come" means.
Ooh, why do I not think this is such a good thing?
Daddy, there's a man out there on your lawn. Are you a ghost?
What do you think?
You look real to me.
Hi.
You couldn't see it.
This is really interesting.
You believed in the magic. It happened. Isn't that enough?
Annie, it's more than that. I feel it as strongly as I've ever felt anything in my life. There's a reason. Go the distance. Did you hear the voice too? Did you hear it?
Go the distance.
Yes.
Our Graham is dead. He died in 1972.
Are you Moonlight Graham?
No one's called me Moonlight Graham in 50 years.
Unbelievable.
It's more than that. It's perfect.
You build a baseball field in the middle of nowhere, and you sit here and you stare at nothing.
This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good.
Hey, is this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
Kevin Costner, Amy Madigan, James Earl Jones, Ray Liotta, Burt Lancaster. Sometimes, when you believe the impossible, the incredible comes true. Field of Dreams.
Fat cat getting this place for peanuts.
Right.
Rather burn it down.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do, Terry.
What?
You with me or not?
So what'd you do? Not sex criminals, are you?
No.
Wish my husband would have done something like what boys did.
I know we're in trouble, but it's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the way things go sometimes.
I don't want to hear about it, Terry. It's my responsibility. I'll worry about it. All right, get your hands up, officer. Hands up. Get your hands up. Up! Up! Okay, take his gun. What? Take his gun! All right.
Damn it! What do you think this is, man? You think this is a game?
Why don't you come back with me tonight, Terry? Let's get you out of this.
I bet I could sell an interview. Yeah, some newspaper. You boys are bigger news around here than the damn weather.
I don't have to make no excuses to you. People built this country.
That's probably true, Frank. That was a long time ago, and the country that they built just doesn't exist anymore.
This next round is on me! We're gonna drink until we fall out!
Don't you know how hard this makes it?
What?
Getting away. Having a future.
There is no future!
Richard Gere, Kevin Anderson, Miles from Home, from Cinecom Pictures.